So did you know there is an International Day of Awesomeness? It's celebrated on the 10th of March. Why that day? Because it's Chuck Norris's birthday. For Gavin and I, life without awesomeness and life without adventure would have no meaning. It could be something as simple as a piece of art, or it could be the purr of a cat.
So we were very fortunate to attend the first TEDx Johannesburg in 2009, and on our name tags we had to write the one thing we wanted to do before we died. My one thing was to dive the wrecks of Bikini Atoll, and Ingrid's one thing was to do some ice diving. And by ice diving we mean North Pole, South Pole ice diving. We both completed these things independently, but they both had something to do with diving. So we're here to tell you a little bit about our journey, very briefly, from recreational to tech, and then a little bit about our dreams. And you'll see that on stage we have another gentleman, Don Shirley. Don is our technical dive instructor. He gets a lot of props from us for the thousands of hours of cave, wreck, and deep diving he's done. In fact, Don is one of the few people in the world who's been below 250 meters, which is an extreme depth. In fact, anecdotally, there are more people who've walked on the moon that have been below 250 meters. So what Don's going to do is he's showing a basic kit up, and it's what we do every time before we climb in the water.
So the sea is full of fear for many people. It's deep, it's dark, it's full of sharks. And to do something awesome, sometimes for me, I get stopped by fear. So my dive with Gavin, as an example, with the sharks, was fraught with fear. It was only after I was actually on dry land that I realized the awesomeness of what we had done. Fear of change, fear of failure, fear of success is what holds me back. But moving through the fear and doing something through that fear is what gives us the best reward.
So I got to scuba diving whilst going through a divorce that detached me not only from another person, but from the person I'd been before. When you're going through an existential crisis, what do? You buy a Porsche. I didn't buy a Porsche. I tried stuff. Tried skydiving, tried microlighting, loved it for a couple of years, but it was really scuba diving that actually grabbed a chunk of my soul.
So I also started diving with my ex, but it was only when actually diving with Gavin that I found the awesomeness of buddying up.
Thank you.
And it's kind of naff, because what we do when we do recreational diving is we hold hands. And I like it because I know where my buddy is, but at the same time I can kind of get his attention and show him all the fishies. But the amazing thing with the ocean was amplified when he proposed to me 25 meters under the water. He even gave me the ring, the crazy man. But after that, I didn't see any fish or coral. It was just me and Gavin and the ocean. We're married. We've worked together for 15 years. We co-parent awesome kids.
So in case you didn't get that, that's them over there.
And people think we're absolutely crazy to spend 24 hours together. We think it's awesome, and we're okay with a little bit of crazy. I moved from recreational diving to tech diving because I want to dive with the coelacanths at Jessa Canyon, which is just off Sodwana Bay. They typically are at 70 meters to 120 meters, so you need to do tech. I haven't done it yet, but having a goal is what helps me move through my fear.
My desire to go technical diving came from a fascination I have with all things World War II, but specifically the Pacific Theater of War and Bikini Atoll, where they tested nuclear weapons during World War II and the wrecks around it, and also Chook Lagoon and the end result of what was Operation Hailstone. All of these wrecks, though, are pretty much below recreational limits. And recreational limits from a scuba diving perspective, and yes, that's my son in the photograph, scuba diving limits are down to 30 meters. And you can pretty much see everything that you want to see down to 30 meters. You can see all the fishies you want to see. You can see sharks, rays, coral, pretty much everything. So you don't
and
really,
Nemo.
Sorry, Nemo. And Nemo. You will see Nemo. So you don't really have to go much deeper than that to see all the cool stuff. However, from a recreational point of view, you can do an advanced course and you go down to 40 meters. But the gear is pretty much the same in terms of all recreational stuff. Just one cylinder BC, very simple. One of the things that I enjoy most about recreational diving is the buddy system. And essentially the buddy system is where your partner is within an arm's length of you. And it's kind of a system that allows them to help you, you to help them. It's a backup from a recreational point of view.
So the move to technical diving is a fundamental shift to self-reliance. When you've got your side slings on, which you see over there, and you've got gauges which are actually supporting your life and give you life supporting information, you don't actually want to be too close to your partner. So we progressed to a point where we would actually nudge one another away instead of holding hands.
Thank you, I appreciate the sympathy. So for me, going down below 40 meters, the kind of recreational limit, was a kind of a sacred thing. And it requires a lot of training, a lot of understanding, a lot of knowledge. And there's a whole bunch of stuff around physiological and psychological things that you have to get in touch with, particularly around gases, how you have to deal with those gases at depth, and how you have to deal with them in order to kill yourself. This is a quick illustration of the differences between up here and down there. This is a 20-liter jerry can. See, it says 20-liter jerry can, and it holds 20 liters of air at the moment. Each of you sitting in this room are consuming around about 20 liters of air per minute. When you go down to 100 meters, you are consuming 11 of these per minute. 11 every single minute. It's a tremendous amount of gas to carry around and to look after, so it does take a little bit of training.
So I was overwhelmed with the thought that if something went wrong at 80 meters, I was on my own. That's kind of scary. And Don kept saying, the surface is not an option. You have to sort out what you need to do then and there, or you die. So the mantra, stop, breathe, think, needs to become second nature. And it's become second nature so much so that it's crept into our home life. So when a child comes to me, Mom, I've lost my phone. It's, okay, stop, breathe, think, where last did you use your phone?
And can you imagine how they respond to that?
But the self-reliance, especially for me, was incredibly scary in the beginning. I find it really, really scary. But as we moved through it, I found my own self-reliance and independence, so much so that we actually battled to decide what to put in this talk and who was going to say what. It was awesome, but not without its frustrations.
So one of the cornerstones of technical diving is plan the dive and dive the plan. And you do that in order not to kill yourself. You only deviate from the plan when you have an emergency that you have to deal with. So with all of that planning, you would actually think that possibly this is not a whole bunch of fun, but you know what? When you deal with helium, it really can.
Hello. Hello, Don. Hello, world. My name is Gavin. I'd like to say welcome to the dive. I'm very, very sober. If I find that up on a website, I'm really going to hurt you.
So my insides burned when we visited the Wall of Remembrance just outside the Blue Hole. And there are plaques and messages for those who have lost their lives in those waters. And currently there's about over 150 people who have lost their lives. And I realized then that our preparation dives to 60 and 70 meters were just as dangerous as the 100 meter. So just to give you an explanation, 60 to 70 meters doesn't sound like much when you're up breathing air on you and you're on land. When you go down, however, it's the pressure of the water on your body that creates different things. So nitrogen is forced into your soft tissue, and that can create various complications.
So there we were, Blue Hole, Dahab, Egypt, and we planned the dive, and then we definitely dived the plan. We descended to our bottom depth, under the blue arch, under the arch at the Blue Hole at 103 meters. And to our surprise, there below us was the body of one of those deceased recreational divers down at 125 meters, unrecovered. That diver had paid the ultimate price for pushing recreational limits and being unprepared. And it's a stark reality check that what we were doing is not for the faint at heart, and it's not for the undertrained. However, From that moment on, that was not my reality. My reality was on how awesome it was to be down there at that depth. When I looked up, I could see our support divers sitting up at around 40 meters, so that was 60 meters away. Couldn't really see much further than that. They looked like a bunch of astronauts floating in the middle of space with nothing between us and them. A completely surreal experience, and one that I really want to repeat, but this time from a little bit deeper, around about 150 meters.
So it took us 2 hours to get to the surface, and that's with deco stops. And what deco stops essentially is stopping at various levels within the water to slowly allow the nitrogen to come out of your bloodstream. It was only at 15 meters that I allowed my recreational habits to creep in, and I finned over to Gavin to hold his hand and celebrate the awesomeness of what we had just experienced. The high-tech divers around us, the high-tech divers around us obviously don't see it very often and thought it endlessly amusing. It's proof actually that you can laugh underwater.
So here we've got Don, and he has taken super quick, takes us about 3 times as long to kit up. This is what he looks like now in terms of ready for the tech diving, and that's exactly what he is. He's an astronaut. That's what we saw looking up towards the top. So Obi-Wan has taught us that we mustn't live in the fear. We need to contain it. We need to be able to carry on checking what we have to check, doing what we need to do, and then we just need to really enjoy the moment as opposed to living in the fear. So, our path to 100 meters was not the beginning, and it was certainly not the end. We had an awesome time there, much like we do with 3 wonderful children, and much like we do within our business and our personal relationship.
So no, we're no different to anybody else in this room in terms of being human beings. The 2 figures that you see behind me were left by the staff in one of the rooms in Egypt, and it was made out of tiles, and every single day it was something different that they left in our room. They did it not because they had to, but because it was fun, and we thought it was awesome.
So every single day we try and find the awesome. We try and find it around us, we try and see it, we try and live it, and we certainly try and appreciate it and encourage it wherever we can. And we both really buy into the slogan of the International Day of Awesomeness, which is, nobody's perfect, but everyone can be awesome.